And we are following breaking news. Iran unleashes a massive ballistic missile attack on Israel. Thank you for joining us at 5. I'm Dawn Hasbro.
And I'm Scott Scheimer. Let's get to that breaking news tonight. In the Middle East, Iran has launched at least 180 missiles into Israel. The country says 90% of those missiles hit their targets. The U.S. confirming our forces helped to defend against the attack. Israel says it is not aware of any deaths. This is another sharp escalation in the months-long conflict between Israel and the Iran-backed militias, Hezbollah and Hamas. While the U.S. State Department acknowledges Israel did play a role in the escalation, they say the country was trying to, quote, bring terrorists to justice.
If you look at what Iran did today, we have been warning for some time about the threat posed by Iran arming and funding terrorist groups across the Middle East, and the attack today just demonstrated the danger of those actions. What you saw was Iran launching a state-on-state attack to protect and defend the terrorist groups that it has built, nurtured, and that it controls.
Today's strike in response to recent airstrikes that killed leaders of Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Iranian military. Earlier, Israel also announced it had begun ground operations against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says there will be severe consequences on Iran for that attack. We want to bring in North Central College political science professor Stephen Caliendo. Thanks for being here.
It's great to see you both.
So the U.S. standing behind Israel, the threat of consequences we just mentioned, what do you think those will be?
Well, Israel's promised that they'll retaliate and that it will be severe. They see this as a significant escalation, and they ought to. I think there will be strikes within Iran proper for sure. Whether or not those remain in terms of particular munitions and military strikes, or whether they really target the potential for nuclear operations, which of course is something that has long since been a concern for the West and for Israel, remains to be seen. But it will be something. It will be severe, and it probably won't be very long from now.
Okay, so the U.S. not just standing by. The Pentagon says 2 destroyers fired missiles in an effort to intercept the ballistic missiles coming in from Iran. I'm wondering, what is this going to look like should things escalate with regard to the U.S.'s involvement?
Scott, it's a great question. Look, the U.S. has backed Israel in so many ways, and in terms of supplying military help, and the defense has been has really been the key word. It's helping Israel in its own defense. But sometimes the defense has to do with offense, and that's what we saw a little bit earlier, late last week, with the movement of Israel into Lebanon. And so the question is, what role will the U.S. have, if any, in the next strike that comes from Israel into Iran? And then after that, whether or not there will be more of our military folks moved into the region. Right now, we don't have a huge presence, but that could change.
Well, many are expecting this, of course, to come up during the vice presidential debate tonight. What kind of impact do you think this could have on the presidential race?
What it serves to do is move foreign policy higher up, folks, on people's radars. Right now, if you ask people what are the most important problems facing America, they're going to say the economy. They may say illegal immigration or border crisis. But foreign policy, even though there's an ongoing war in the Ukraine where the U.S. is involved, and of course, since last October, we've been very much involved in an alert to this. Any kind of an escalation here that would draw the U.S. in more meaningfully is going to catch the attention of the American public.
Okay, and to that point, an escalation that draws the U.S. in, might that be an issue where we could see the U.S. going after Iran's nuclear program? We know that has been a thorn in the Biden administration side for some time now.
Yes, for sure, Scott. That's right. And you know, there's many ways to do that. There's a lot of ways through our own proxies and allies in the region, or directly with respect to you know, whether or not there's another agreement that's reached. But Iran does not appear to be in any mood to have any kind of talk at this point, not just with the United States, but again, they're doing all they can to continue to fund Hamas and to fund Hezbollah. In their struggles with Israel, and that's really something that the Iranian regime has predicated itself on.
Professor Caliendo, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much. Have a great night.